Now I'm in Melbourne's inner suburbs and we're about to meet Nick Rose, who's a lecturer on sustainable food systems. So we're going to go and check out his backyard and have a chat about sustainability. So come on, let's go say hello.
We need to move to a more sustainable food system that works for everybody. The food system generates as much as 30 to 40% of greenhouse emissions. Our farmers are doing it really hard and we're losing 7 farmers a day. Diet is now the biggest cause of chronic disease and ill health in Australia. All these things come together to mean that the bigger question of sustainable futures, if we don't get the food system right, then, we're in trouble.
Nick.
How are you?
Good, mate, good.
Come in.
This is it, eh?
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, there's a little bit of urban oasis out here.
Who would think in a city you can
That's
have
right.
this?
That's right.
People can use small spaces really creatively. It's really easy to get a pot of parsley or herbs growing even on a windowsill. Even if you don't have any kind of outside space, you can still have herbs growing in your kitchen if you've got a little bit of light.
What do you got going on over here?
So, got a bit of a raised bed situation happening here. Got a little bit of beetroot, a bit of parsley. And then we've got the worm bin, which is my pride and joy.
As much as 40% of all the food produced today is wasted, not eaten at all, and that's a huge also cause of methane, which is a very powerful greenhouse gas going into landfill. Worms deal with that issue. Worms can just recycle, regenerate all that organic matter and turn it into great food for your plants.
When it's at capacity, you can put in 1.5 to 2 kilos of kitchen scraps every day. Yeah,
so basically, just about all your kitchen scraps would go in there.
Pretty much. Yeah. You don't really want to put in meat and go easy on onions and garlic and that kind of stuff, strong things. But it starts off with 2,000 worms when you start, and they take about 3 months to build up their numbers. But when they're really pumping, that can fill up to about 12 or 14,000 worms, which is just amazing.
Yeah. So look how's it all going in there.
Yeah. No, the worms are. Worms are all going. It doesn't smell at all.
Yeah.
Pretty much takes everything.
Takes no space.
Personally, one of the reasons why I really love to do it is it just feels really good to connect with the soil and the earth. It's therapeutic, actually. It sort of just de-stresses you, and if you're just kind of out there and you're caring for plants and you're seeing them growing and you've got your hands in the soil, and it makes you feel good.
This tray here is to catch the castings, which is what you want to be feeding your plants, because it's like the fantastic fertilisers. Just that,
that's all the good stuff.
One of those every 4 days, every 4 or 5 days fills up. So
wow,
amazing.
That's unbelievable. Are we going to use some of this today?
Absolutely. This is all going in the vertical gardening system that we're going to be working on today.
Beautiful. Well, let's get cracking, mate. Show me what you got in mind.
More and more people are wanting to embrace more sustainable lifestyles and making our back gardens edible. Another way is accessing public land to start community gardens or urban farms, and that's becoming a really popular and big thing. Beyond the production of food, they deal with what they call the heat island effect. When you've got a lot of kind of glass and concrete and steel in a place, it absorbs heat. If you increase the biomass, you have more plants and green matter there. That just kind of cools everything down, makes it more livable and pleasant for people.
What we're doing is getting a vertical garden system happening. It's called the food wall, and it's a wicking bed system, which means that you only need to water it once a week. Makes it really easy to grow, particularly if you've got busy lives and running around with kids and work and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, and is it something as well that if you don't have a great deal of space, you can make it work in your backyard?
That's it. When you've got small spaces, use your space so you can go up. So it's not about sort of going out, it's about going up. And talking about sustainability and where food's coming from in the future, cities have got to play a bigger role in that, learning how to feed ourselves as cities, not just taking food in from the countryside, but using spaces in the city. So in Singapore, for example, they're growing food on roofs, they're growing food up the side of buildings, all that kind of stuff.
Well, look, I'm keen to find out how this wicking system works.
This is the secret of it, this system here. These are the wicks that'll actually draw up the water, keeping the soil nice and moist. And this is the aerator. This actually oxygenates the soil and keeps the plants breathing, keeps the micro-oxygen, takes out any gases that are accumulating in the bottom of the wicking bed. That's what actually optimises the health of the plants.
Yeah,
keeps the soil nice and aerated, nice and moist, optimal moisture, and that's what gives you productivity.
All right, so let's put it together.
Yeah, let's get into it.
If we're talking about sustainability, the food system just impacts so massively on that in so many different ways. The way we work the land, the way we clear land, take down trees, all those things mean that the food system generates as much as 30 to 40% of all greenhouse gas emissions. There's a whole kind of wave of community and individual and household sentiment towards sustainable food systems.
This is called the Food Wall. It's an advanced wicking system. It's the latest in sustainable backyard gardening technology, and I'm excited to be setting it up with you today.
The role of technology is really important, innovation is really important, and that's one of the exciting things about food growing.
Do these link up today?
That's right, yeah, it's a modular system.
So you could go with one or you could go with multiple?
Yeah.
Having technologies that guarantee your chances of success are a great thing. So if you go to the trouble of getting, some veggies growing, that they're not going to fall over on you, the next week.
Well linked together there. You know what I love, mate, about this sort of stuff as well is, for people that have been gardening for many, many years and to see, new technology coming into the market, but I guess getting better results as well.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's just the smart way to go, isn't it?
It's the way of the future, mate. You know what, mate? I reckon my kids would love doing this. It's like, it's like a big Lego set.
Like Meccano together.
I reckon, yeah. Getting our hands dirty, I like that.
Yep.
I'll just tip a bit in there. You don't grab any old potting mix and chuck it in and think it's going to work. This is a specially formulated one.
That's right, yeah. So they've experimented with a few different mixes and this is the one to go for.
This is where it's at. So basically just finding those wick points, pushing down nice and hard like that. Yep. Maybe if we don't fill it up any more, we'll get some worm castings in this one too, mate, really before we get it too full. Divide it up, eh?
Yeah,
This is the stuff, mate.
People are really kind of feeling they want to get closer to where their food comes from. They want good, fresh, healthy food, show their kids where their food comes from.
I think a lot of kids, if you ask them, where does your food come from, it'll be, from the supermarket.
That's right.
And that's it.
Yeah, well, study a couple of years ago, grade 6 kids in New South Wales with bread, milk and eggs. Half of them didn't know they came from farms.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're dealing with in terms of the kids knowing where food comes from.
It's about knowledge, isn't it? It's knowing these things, knowing that we do live in an environment that is suitable for sustainability, and it's not just a token effort doing this sort of stuff. It's really making a difference.
That's right. Everyone's got a part to play in this.
A third of our food depends on pollinators and bees, and they're in big trouble globally. So urban beekeeping is becoming a big thing, rooftop honey, these kinds of things. And that just shows people living in cities, can make a big difference to the whole question of biodiversity.
For a while it was like, the hipsters in Brunswick and Fitzroy and all that kind of stuff, but I think it's definitely become a much wider conversation now, which is great.
The last of the good stuff.
That's it. Did you know they had 5 hearts? I found that out recently. Worms have 5 hearts.
5 hearts?
Yeah.
How do you find out something like that, mate? How do you ask that question and get to that? But the one thing I think kids need to know is that if you do cut a worm in half, it won't make 2 worms, it'll kill the worm. So stop doing that, kids.
Growing your own food is a great way to appreciate what keeps plants healthy. Plants take up nutrients from the soil. We take up nutrients from the plants. So we need healthy living soils with worms and microbes. Plants getting what they need, we get what we need. Everybody's happy.
So what are you thinking, mate? Do you want to go spinach on the bottom and keep the lettuces up the top?
The collards should go up the top.
Maybe something like that if you like, and we can split them up and divide them up. That's going to look fantastic too when it comes out with the colour as well. And picking what you need.
You're picking what you need as you need it, and it's super fresh, and and the plant keeps giving for you. So
yeah, not wasting.
Did a bit of a survey a few years ago, Anthony, just kind of checking out how many people in Australia are actually doing this kind of thing, and just asked them a simple question: are you growing or raising some of your own food?
I would have thought the number would have been drastically low.
Right? Yeah. What do you reckon? What's your guess?
10% if you were lucky.
53%.
Really?
53% said yes, they were growing or raising some of their own food. And the interesting thing was, of that 53%, nearly 20% said they'd started in the last 12 months.
Obviously the word's getting out there, mate. It's being spread.
That's right.
We're starting to get it, that this is where it's at.
for the next generation, the kids, they're going to understand these bigger questions and know where their food comes from, and that's part of the shift that we need. We need to get back to understanding where our food comes from, and that's what really this is about. Like, growing food in your own back garden connects you with your food, connects you with the source of your life.
Yep, it's in, baby.
All right, let's see it fill up. Just put the setting on and walk away, and go away for a few days, long weekend or something, and you come back, even if it's been a hot, fairly hot weekend, you still come back and the plants will be happy, so.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's really good. Well, you know what, Nick? I have thoroughly enjoyed myself here. You know what? I reckon I'll have to come back at some stage very soon and grab some of this lettuce, mate.
Yeah, no worries, Anthony. It's been great having you. Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
It's great for you in your own personal space and creating your own little oases and for your own family and friends, but you're also doing something bigger for the community and for the country and ultimately for the planet.